majored in History and East Asian Studies at St. Michael's College. I'm currently a senior, so this is my last year. In 2015, I spent a year in Seoul, South Korea, and I was an exchange student at Yonsei University. It's one of the best known colleges there. And while being in Korea, it's a completely different way of life. So different from everything I knew back in America. So I had to open myself up to the cultural differences, and I had to adapt really well. And being able to do that, I really became very fond of this country that's about the size of Indiana, but has a population density that's like almost top 3 in the world. So today I wanted to talk about the cultural kind of phenomenons and the tradition that I experienced when I studied there. And this is a picture of Yonsei University. And so the first thing I want to talk about is my favorite thing, food. So Korea has some of the best food I've ever eaten. Very fresh, very wholesome kind of food. But one thing I had to get used to was the spice level. Food can be really spicy. As you can see, I'm trying really hard not to cry here. It's very spicy food. And one thing you probably think about when you think of Korean food is kimchi. So kimchi is spicy fermented cabbage, and you eat it at mostly every meal. And so I was able to make it, and my host family, they taught me how to make it, and I learned a fun fact that actually, back there you can see a refrigerator that is just for kimchi. It's to preserve it at the right temperature, and I just thought that was really funny. They had their own fridge for it. And
You're making us hungry, Miss Amy.
I'm sorry. And one of my favorite meals in Korea is Korean barbecue. You have an open grill in front of you, and you order whatever part of the meat or the animal you want, and they give it to you raw, and you have to cook it yourself. So make sure you have someone that actually knows how to cook with you. But it's a great place. It's a really good social setting because you can eat and drink with big groups of people, and you can be there all hours of the night. It was just, I had a lot of fun memories while going to Korean barbecue. And they also have a lot of inventive food. So this is melon silbing, and silbing is like shaved condensed sweetened milk. So it's very common dessert there, and they like kind of put it inside of a melon, and so it was hard to eat, but it was really delicious. And they have cotton candy lattes, so the cotton candy is bigger than your face. And this is another bingsu, which is almost like solbing. It's just like a giant 2-story Oreo dessert. And this is to show that when you eat Korean food, there's always 3 to 4 side dishes. And they're just small things, like it could be maybe kimchi, or like fish cakes, or like some kind of bean. And it depends on which restaurant you go to. But it's kind of seen as a cleansing palate. Like as you eat your main dish, you have some of the sides, and so you're not getting overwhelmed by the same flavor, which is a really smart idea. But while I ate out a lot in Korea, so you kind of learn table manners there. They're a lot different than how they are here. Because in Korea, the age is set up kind of in a hierarchy. The older you are, the more respect that should be given to you. So if you're eating with someone that's older, it's important to not eat until they start eating. And if you're the youngest, you make sure that everyone in the group has enough food on their plate and their cups are always full. Because when you pour, also you do it with 2 hands, and when you receive, you hold it with 2 hands, or like this. Using 2 hands is very important because also when receiving gifts or something, you use 2 hands. So the tradition of hierarchy is based on age and still very influential to this day, especially at the dinner table. And so now I kind of want to talk about the cultural shock I had when I was in Korea. One of the things was bowing, because when you meet someone new, when you meet someone you already know, or someone older, someone younger, you always bow. And the degree of which you bow depends on the age difference or who they are. So it's important to always know the age. And so this is my Korean language teacher, and one other thing I really struggled with is because in America we don't have a distinct difference between polite and informal, and in Korea they have that. So with polite, very formal speech, it's used mostly in business or with people that are older than you. And informal is more with close friends or with family or people younger than you. And most of the time I definitely did it wrong. I would speak to grandmothers in informal speech, and I'd speak very, very formally to middle schoolers. So it was something I had to keep practicing and make a lot of mistakes. But over time, you learn. And another thing, I don't have a slide for it, but was staring, because that's kind of the side effect of being a foreigner in a very homogeneous kind of society like Korea. You will stand out. And so I had to get used to being stared at on the subway, wherever I went. People were always watching. It's kind of a bit scary, but over time I kind of learned to like it, so. Let's see. And also many people will come up to you to start conversations, like, where are you from? Why did you come to Korea? Do you like kimchi? And it just shows the kindness and the compassion that Korean people have for just pretty much everyone. And that brings me to the idea of harmony. And there's a term called dong, and that is the sense of interconnectedness with everybody. And to me, this is a really important cultural term because it's the idea that you have a relationship with everyone, no matter how small or insignificant it might be. And so you see this on the street, you see this, I felt this a lot interacting with people. And this one time I was actually on a subway and this older Korean woman sat next to me. And she tried talking to me, but I didn't know what she was saying. But she ended up giving me a piece of candy from her purse and 50,000 won, which is about $40 US, and one of the rings right off her finger. And I'm like, you don't have to. You don't have to give me that. I didn't want that. But she told me she just wanted me to have a good impression of Korea. And so it speaks a lot about how much Koreans care about taking care of others. So it's a really important memory for me. And so, also when I was in Korea, I got involved in the community a lot because it gave me a greater sense of purpose and meaning in being in the domestic community. And so I volunteered at a girls' high school, and we would practice just English and discuss differences in culture and try to understand one another. I also worked with underprivileged kids, and we would just meet them once a week and have fun. We had Christmas party, we had a Halloween party, and this was my girl. Her name was Anna, and she was really shy, but she opened up to me later on. And there was also, I don't have pictures of this because I wasn't allowed to take a picture with them, but I met North Korean refugees who had escaped from North Korea. And it was a very powerful moment because they described their life in Korea to me, and it really humanized North Korea. I feel like a lot of times people see North Korea and they don't really see that people are suffering there, and they really put a human face to the horror going on there. Okay, so now I just show a quick series of pictures that have a lot of special meaning to me. And so this one, this is a restaurant that my friend and I would go to a lot. It was near campus. And we went there so often that the workers actually knew who we were. And so one day, one of the workers just brought this drink over for us and put it on our table and thanked us for just being good customers. And in Korea, in stores and restaurants, you'll see this, a lot of service. They'll give you small gifts or small things like this, and it's kind of to build a relationship with the customer and in hopes that they'll come back in return. And yeah, Korean customer service is really amazing. So there's a thing called language exchange cafes, and there's a lot of them in Seoul. And first going to Korea, I thought it'd be so easy to meet people. But when I got there, it was a lot different. It was actually a little bit harder to meet people. But I decided to go to a language exchange cafe. And even though I was really scared, it was outside my comfort zone, I learned to just step outside of it and embrace something that is a little scary, but will definitely pay off, and it did. And also, if this is the side effect of being one of the only foreigners at a language exchange cafe, you will be put on their Facebook page as advertisement. So that happened. And I also went to a Korean traditional wedding. This is actually my friend who studied at St. Michael's, and I happened to be in Korea when she was getting married. So I was able to go, and it was really exciting. Traditional Korean weddings are very different from American weddings. Traditional weddings, they're shorter. There's no party afterwards, and it's just very short and simple. And you don't give you don't give a gift. You just give money, like in a little envelope, write your name on it, and that's all you do. And it's a very beautiful ceremony, very symbolic. So like they carry the bride and the groom in on these like throne-like seats. Like their friends carry them in, and they like sit at this decorated table full of a bunch of objects and like food, and they just do a series of bows to one another, and it's a very beautiful ceremony.
Sierra, I gotta bring you down because we're only down to about 15 minutes worth of questions. So I know we have a few more minutes afterwards, but
Yeah. And this is a picture of my family. My mother and grandmother visited me in Korea, and I was able to have a big dinner with my host family, and it was really important to me because it was like the combination of two of my families. And I went to the DMZ, which is the demilitarized zone. So this is South Korea, and this is North Korea. You can see the soldiers staring at us, watching us. We were told not to point, not to wave, because there'd be signs or like acts of aggression. So we had to like remain very still. But being here was really significant to me because it showed the effects of the Korean War, even though like you see that the war isn't over, that it's still there. Because it was just a ceasefire, it wasn't a peace treaty. But you feel safe with the soldiers there, but it's a little bit, it's very fragile, the tension there. And so that was really important. And so, to wrap up, having spent a year in Korea, I got some amazing opportunities, and I was able to really grow as an individual. I'm so thankful for everything I was able to do there, and because South Korea is one of the most amazing countries. It has fabulous food, amazing places to explore, and really warm, kind-hearted people. So,
your former history teacher's going to ask you a quick question.
Yes.
Do you want to go back?
yes, I plan to go to graduate school there. So that is my goal for now. I'd like to get involved, hopefully, with their international affairs, or maybe just in the universities. But yeah, so this was my presentation, and I hope you enjoyed.
You guys have been awesome.